Hi, my name is Father Shawn. Welcome to the Ladder, and today we'll be speaking about the Holy Apostles. In the midnight prayers of Thursday, the second watch of prayers begin with this hymn. There are 12 pillars which carry the earth. There are 12 months which crown the year. There are 12 springs which flowed in the desert, and 12 apostles who preached the gospel. They preached the gospel in the heights and the depths. May their prayer be our stronghold and refuge. Throughout our prayers, the holy apostles are exalted and venerated as the greatest of the saints, only after the Holy Theotokos and Saint John the Forerunner. Why do the Holy Apostles hold such a high status in the church? In many ways, it's obvious. They are the ones who were physically present with Christ and the ones who helped to grow the Holy Church that Christ established here on earth. By spending 3 years with the Lord and then witnessing the death and resurrection of Christ, their eyes were opened to the revelation and understanding of the scriptures and the role of Christ's passion in our salvation. As a result, they were given the unique responsibility and opportunity to be present with God Himself and thus be the ones who were entrusted with growing His kingdom. One of the titles that the church gives to the apostles is pillar. The apostles are known as the pillars of the church. We sometimes see icons of the apostles where they are all holding up the church in their hands. This term is given to the apostles to not only honor them, but for us to acknowledge their role in the Holy Church. The church gave this title to the apostles because Christ gave them the responsibility of the Holy Church. The word apostle comes from the Greek word apostolos, which means delegate, messenger, one that is sent forth with orders. Christ handpicked these men to be the ones who brought the good news to all the world. They were entrusted by Christ to bring the church into all of creation. Keep in mind that the faith of Jesus Christ was being spread by the apostles before the Gospels were written. The entire church and faith in the salvation of Christ depended on the spreading of the gospel by these men and their followers. The survival and growth of the early church was dependent on the witness of the holy apostles. Thus, the church's foundation, its pillars, are the apostles. This is why we say that we are an apostolic church. In the Nicene Creed, we profess that we believe in one holy, Catholic, and apostolic church. For us, this is an essential characteristic of the church. Our church must be founded on and the keeper of the faith of the apostles. And the reason that matters is because the faith of the apostles is the faith of Jesus Christ. If we are not a church that practices the faith of the apostles, we are no church at all. When we look at all the ancient churches of the world, they trace their lineage to an apostle. This is done for two reasons. First, the historic connection is important to show that they are a church that has its priesthood and authority from the apostles and therefore from Jesus Christ. The second reason is possibly more important. By tracing that lineage to the apostle who founded that church, they also profess that they have kept the faith of the holy apostles. For example, the church in Egypt was founded by St. Mark, who was a follower of St. Peter. The church in Armenia was founded by St. Bartholomew. The church in Antioch traces its lineage to St. Peter. And the church in India was founded and traces its lineage to St. Thomas. All these churches profess their connection to these apostles, not to take pride in a person, but they confess that connection because they are the followers of Jesus Christ and have been following the rock of faith that He gave them for over 2,000 years. Ultimately, what makes the apostles special in the eyes of the Holy Church is that they witnessed Jesus Christ to the world. They gave us the Holy Gospels, the epistles, the Holy Sacraments, and the Church. They taught us how to love our neighbors through their defense of the least among in society, their miraculous healings, and their welcoming of all people into the Church, male, female, Jewish, Gentile, enslaved, and free. They taught us the faith through their powerful sermons. They taught us not to be afraid of earthly powers that tried to separate us from God. They created communities of faith wherever they went, trusting in the Lord to grow His people. They did all this expecting no money, no riches, no honor, and no status. They decreased so that the name above all names would increase. They were the light and love of Christ in the world, and thus the church emulates their examples. All of the apostles except St. John were killed for proclaiming the good news of Christ. As many of you know, the word martyr comes from martyria, which means witness or testimony. These men witnessed Christ not only in their lives, but also in how they died. They died a similar death as their Savior experienced, so that they could emulate him in every way. They lost their lives for his sake and found eternity. Their entire lives were devoted to bringing Christ to the world, both Jews and Gentiles alike. 2,000 years later, as we name our parishes after different apostles and saints, as we bear their names in baptism, and as we proclaim their names as the founders of our churches, let's all take a moment to stop and wonder. Our lives are like those apostles' names that we bear. Are we willing to put everything aside for the Lord? Are we willing to look at all people around us, even those who hurt us, as children of God who deserve to be loved unconditionally? And are we willing to lose everything for his sake? The apostles brought us the gospel of Jesus Christ, and that gospel is this: we must die to the world and die to each other selflessly, just as Christ died for all of creation. And by living like Christ, we also build up the holy church of God, just like those holy apostles, the pillars of the holy church, did. Thanks for watching The Ladder. Remember to like, subscribe, and comment below on topics that you want to see.